Welcome to the Stuff You Should Think About podcast, where I answer everyday questions about phenomena and objects. Hey, what's good? I'm G. How's it going? Today we're going to talk about guerrilla gardening, which is one of those things that sounds a lot more dramatic than it usually is. Most of the time, it's just people planting in neglected, unused, or overlooked spaces without formal permission. So, like, not a community garden with a sign or a waiting list, more like that empty tree pit. The sad strip by the fence, a patch of dirt nobody seems to care for, all that kind of stuff. And I should say this up front because people get a little dramatic about it. The basic idea is improvement, not chaos. The goal is usually to make an ignored space a little more useful or a little more alive. That might mean flowers, so the place looks a little less bleak. It might mean herbs, sometimes vegetables. A lot of people focus on pollinator plants, which makes sense because bees and butterflies are trying to work with what they got. Same as us, honestly. There are a few common ways people do it. One is seed balls. If you've never heard that term, it's basically seeded bundles in the little balls, usually with some kind of growing medium around them, so they can be tossed or placed into bare soil. People like them because they're simple and fast, especially for scattering wildflower type mixes or hardy plants over rough ground. That said, simple doesn't mean magic. If the spot is bad, the seed ball is still landing in a bad spot. Then there's direct sowing, which is less cute and more straightforward. You put the seed right in the ground where you want it to grow. That's useful when the soil is at least decent enough, and when you're working with plants that don't mind starting in place. It can be practical, but you still need timing, moisture, and a little luck. I mean, seeds are tiny. A windy day or one heavy rain can just change the whole story. Another approach is transplanting starts. So instead of putting seeds in the ground and hoping, you just use small plants that already got going somewhere else. This gives them a head start. They're easier to space and easier to see, and sometimes a little better at surviving rough conditions, especially in urban spots where the soil is compacted or the weather's doing too much. And then there's the least flashy version, which is just tending an existing bed. Maybe there's already a neglected planter, a tree surround, or some half abandoned patch with soil in it. People weed it, top it up, and a few suitable plants, water it, and keep coming back. Honestly, that one makes a lot of sense to me. It's not always about making a new garden. Sometimes it's just helping a struggling one look like somebody cares. So that's the core of it. Guerrilla gardening is informal planting in places that feel forgotten. It can be creative, practical, and community minded, but it also works best when people treat it like actual growing, not a movie montage. Because plants still need the boring stuff: sun, water, decent oil, and choices that fit the place. So, how do people actually do this in real life? Well, first they pick a site. And this part matters more than people want it to. You can't just see bare dirt and think, yep, nature will handle the rest. Usually people check how much sun the spot gets: full sun, part shade, deep shade, because that decides a lot right away. A sunny patch can handle very different plants than a narrow strip tucked behind a wall. Then there's foot traffic. Is this a place people cut across all day? Do dogs run through it? Is it right where a car door swings open? Because if the answer is yes, your cute little seeding may be done by Tuesday. You also look at water access, not in some big engineering way, just can this place realistically be watered if it gets dirty? Or does it really completely rely on rain? A lot of guerrilla plots fail because people plant like they're setting up a dream garden and then realize, oh, right, nobody can get water here without hauling it in. Ground condition matters too. If the soil is super compacted, disturbed, or full of rubble, that's a clue. Some urban ground is basically tired gravel pretending to be dirt. And if you can't get a hand tool into it without a fight, delicate plants are probably not going to love it either. Once the site makes sense, plant choice comes next. Practical growers usually go for hardy plants, especially native or climate-suited ones. That's really the big idea. Pick things that can handle the local weather, the local bugs, the local weirdness. Native plants often do well for that reason, and climate-suited plants can also be a smart choice if they aren't invasive and they fit the conditions. Fuzzy crops, on the other hand, can be a trap. If the plant needs consistent babying, it probably isn't right for an unattended roadside strip. Now, to avoid invasive species, that's a pretty huge one. I mean, if the goal is helping a space, you don't want to introduce a plant that spreads aggressively, crowds other plants, or creates a bigger problem later. That's one of those things where good intentions don't really protect you from bad outcomes. Some people who know what they're doing check what is suitable and what should absolutely not be planted in the area. The basic toolkit is pretty small. Use some gloves, a hand trowel or a small shovel, maybe pruners, water, bag for trash, and maybe a little mulch. Nothing wild. The workflow is simple too. Clear litter, loosen soil if you can, remove obvious junk, plant at the right depth, water it, mulch lightly, and then come back later. That revisit part is not optional. Well, I mean, people do skip it, but that's how patches disappear. And that's the practical version, not glamorous, just noticing the site, choosing tough plants that belong there, avoiding invasive stuff, and doing small physical steps right. It's kind of like restoring an old cassette deck, honestly. If the base condition is ignored, the shiny part on top won't save it. Different hobby, same heartbreak. What makes guerrilla gardening work or fail? Honestly, a lot of it comes down to things people don't post pictures of. First big one, soil safety. Urban soil can be rough, and I don't just mean dry or compacted. It can be contaminated. Spots near busy roads, older buildings, or industrial land may have pollutants in the soil. So if somebody is dreaming about planting food in a random city lot, this is where I kind of slow down and go, hold on. Flowers and hardy ornamentals are one thing. Growing edibles in questionable soil is a different conversation. I might be wrong on the exact line people draw from place to place, but the general point is solid. Not every patch of dirt is safe just because something green can grow there. Urban ground has history, and sometimes that history is lead, construction debris, runoff, all that kind of stuff. So site choice isn't only whether plants will survive. It's also about whether that soil is appropriate in the first place. Then there's maintenance, which is really the long game. Watering matters, especially while plants establish. Weeding matters because aggressive weeds can choke out tiny starts fast. Protection from trampling matters because people are going to walk where people walk. Seasonal timing matters too. Plant too early, too late, too hot, too dirty, and you're basically asking stressed plants to perform a miracle. This is where a lot of attempts fall apart. Somebody does the exciting part one afternoon, maybe gets a little dirt under their nails, feels great, takes a photo, and then doesn't come back. Meanwhile, the patch dries out, gets stepped on, or gets swallowed by weeds. I just don't think success is mostly about the first planting. It's about following up, quiet, boring follow up. And yeah, there's a legal and ethical side. Guerrilla gardening is unauthorized by definition in a lot of cases, and that can create real problems, even if the intent is positive. Planting on land without permission can be treated as trespassing or vandalism. Some people hear that and go, well, that's silly. It's just flowers. But rules around property, public land, and maintenance responsibilities are still rules, you know. Intent doesn't automatically cancel consequences. So I don't want to frame this like some life hack. It's better to understand the risk clearly and be honest about it. There's also an ethical question on whether the people who actually use the space want you adding stuff there. That's worth thinking about. Improvement is not just what looks nice to one person walking by. So, if you're looking at guerrilla gardening as an idea, the balanced version is this: it can brighten neglected places, support pollinators, and make overlooked land feel cared for. But it works only when the site is suitable. The plants fit the conditions, the soil is safe enough, and somebody keeps showing up. That's the real thing, not the toss and vanish version. Anyway, that's today's little dirt talk. We'll do another one soon.